What's up everyone, it's Endymion, and like many of you, I'm sick and tired of the woke agenda. This video will be a compilation of all the new ways various industries are trying to turn everything woke and why it's so goddamn tiring. So take my cynical hand and let's dive into the madness together. To start things off, let's look at the multiplayer game Overwatch 2, which if you're unaware, Blizzard and Activision use algorithms to decide what their future characters will be. This sounds cool on the surface until you dive in deeper, with this diversity space tool having its parameters be determined by things like sex, gender, body shape, and age. Certain keywords will either increase or decrease this algorithm, with white-skinned characters or sexualities like being straight adding less value to the algorithm. And the more woke and diverse you get, well, this tool begins to explode in response. The reason why I'm talking about this is because Overwatch 2 has revealed their new hero, the Thai healer Lifeweaver. This character on the surface seems fine, but the more you dive in, the more ridiculous and honestly hilariously pandering it becomes. Lifeweaver, as you might expect, checks so many boxes on the diversity space tool that it's borderline parody at this point. Lifeweaver is from Thailand, which is cool because that makes him the first character from that part of the world, which is fine. However, beyond this, the hero is also the first openly pansexual character and is also plant-based. Meaning Lifeweaver hits all the right boxes for Overwatch and likely made the diversity tool explode in woke ecstasy when they were plugged into its algorithm. The entire character honestly just feels like the latest pandering attempt by a company that abuses its employees and then masks their wrongdoing by parading wokeness in front of their problems in order to hide how evil they really are. If you look at all of Overwatch 2's newest heroes, they each make the diversity space tool convulse with wokeness. But in Overwatch's case at least, it's becoming increasingly obvious that every character they add is designed for representation, but only because it increases their ESG score and can conveniently be used in case Activision has another embarrassing controversy on their hands. Activision employees stealing other employees' breast milk from fridges? Just look at how ripped Junker Queen is. We're being sued for sexual harassment and fostering a frat boy environment that puts women in danger? Look at Lifeweaver, they're plant-based. And they're pansexual. Look at the pretty flowers, everybody. We're not bad guys, right? Come on, we wouldn't cover our warts with convenient algorithm-based media instead of changing our ways, would we? How can we be an evil company when even our macho white male characters like Soldier 76 are gay, right? Come on. It's kind of like when EA added a non-binary specialist to Battlefield, as if that's what the game needed instead of, fixing your servers and game stability. Hey! But I guess representation in articles praising how you can commit war crimes as a non-binary soldier is more important than shipping a game that doesn't crash or runs like ass at release. Sure, Battlefield 2042 runs like garbage at launch and had no single-player campaign. It also cost full price when its competitors are all free to play. But don't yell at us, alright? We have a soldier with they-them pronouns, so you can't give us any criticism, otherwise you're racist or whatever conveniently protects our terrible customer practices. Anyway, Lifeweaver is just the latest propaganda piece in the never-ending crusade of hilarious concepts like the diversity space method. By the time Overwatch gets another white straight male character, I'll be 90 years old with gangrene on my butt cheeks. I'm just waiting for Overwatch to add a trans non-binary communist who uses these/her pronouns and their super turns them into a fury that shoots vaccine needles at their enemies. Because that's what Overwatch 2 needs to combat its grindy battle pass and history of harassment behind the scenes. And speaking about tone-deaf virtue signaling in media, let's now look at Dungeons & Dragons. The franchise, who just recently released a movie that's a box office bomb that openly admits it emasculates men in order to prop their women up, there's no way it can get any worse, right? Recently, Wizards of the Coast has announced they'll be removing the half-species race from their playbook because the entire idea is inherently racist according to them. When I first saw this article, I can't help but feel like I'm being trolled. Do they understand what removing this even means? This is Wizards of the Coast openly saying that having a race that's mixed between others is racist, but finds pureblood races to be totally fine. So, you heard it here folks, Wizards of the Coast believes being mixed is racist. So if you aren't fully white, black, or Asian yourself, I guess you're the problem. But if you're fully Asian or black, then it's okay. I just love it when brands commit franchise suicide like this. It really warms my cold, dead, mixed race heart. Wizards of the Coast even said, and I quote, "Our team are game designers and storytellers. We're not experts in culture and inclusion." Well, we can agree on that at least. Jesus Christ. This means character backgrounds like half-elves, which are half-elf and human, are now problematic because they're not pure-blooded. But it's cool to play pure-blooded elves or humans because we wouldn't want different communities or races to mix their genes together. Because that would be racist and totally not plausible in a world full of people who are mixed like yours truly. This wouldn't be the first time Wizards of the Coast has been tone deaf, since they've also made Aragorn black in their Magic the Gathering series as well. It's all done in an effort to modernize Tolkien's works, because modernizing Lord of the Rings has worked so well in the past, am I right? It's totally plausible for Wizards and their team to have mistranslated Aragorn's look, of course, since he's described in the book as a shaggy head of dark hair flecked with gray and a pale, stern face. Because pale, stern face definitely translates into a dark-skinned black guy, but what can we expect these days? Wizards of the Coast claims their efforts are designed to showcase a modern take on Lord of the Rings, because having Tolkien's work be respected by woke creators is like asking a woke activist to take accountability for their actions. It doesn't exist. Speaking about Lord of the Rings, it was also reported that Amazon's ill-fated series was only fully watched by a third of its audience. Because nothing spells success like spending $1 billion and then only having 33% of your audience actually watching the schlock you put on screen to completion.
Oh no! What happened? Oh no, how terrible! That's just awful! How terrible! Oh no!
But this is what happens when you don't see people as people, but only for their skin color and sexual preferences. God, I'm tired of this crap. Speaking of being tired of pieces of crap, next let's talk about everybody's favorite straw man, Anita Sarkeesian. Recently, during the game's developer conference, Anita was quoted saying that the concept of diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, is working, and that's actually problematic. Oh boy, I wonder how Anita will mental gymnastics her way into making herself a victim of this now. Anita goes on to claim that these woke ideas have been co-opted by powerful people and corporations as a scapegoat to shield themselves from criticism and real change. Anita then says that the DEI initiative was failing because companies are structured to resist change due to how their entire structure is, well, structured. Anita then says, and I quote, "It keeps the agitators running in circles until they burn themselves out, but rarely actually provokes leaders into handing over the keys to effect meaningful institutional change." The slightly less cynical take is that executives have the will to change, but also the fear of change. They are stuck in a corporate system that is resistant to this change, and this is baked into the structures of corporations regardless of who is in charge. This is so obviously replicating the exact problems of the system itself. The path of least resistance here is hiring more white people and paying men more because that's what we know and that's what we've been doing, end quote. Basically, what Anita is saying here is that her efforts and those who champion them are having their ideas being used as smokescreen, and their ideas like diversity, inclusion, and all that aren't actually turning profits. And that deep down, these companies who champion these things publicly are actually secretly against it and realize that it's not working. Anita then openly states that companies are refusing to admit their faults and are instead using wokeness to smokescreen themselves without actually changing anything. That kind of sounds like a certain company that uses a tool designed to push diversity, huh? Anyway, Anita then says, and I quote, "You can't say sorry without naming what you did wrong. You can't make things better while pretending nothing's wrong. Instead of zero tolerance policies or we don't tolerate harassment, What we would like to hear is that harassment, abuse, and assault has happened here. People were hurt and treated in ways that are not acceptable. The individuals are responsible, and so are we as the culture and community that allowed it to happen. Here's how we're going to start changing the way we talk about and look out for these things. We have to talk about what's happening, the isolation, the confusion, the rumors, the misunderstandings that come with keeping everything quiet is not helping. There's a lot of nuance here with balancing confidentiality, respecting privacy, as well as not leaning into public shaming. But somehow, someway, we need to find a way to hold narratives together as a group so there's a collective accountability in addressing that what happened wasn't okay. That we all want to support in the healing, changing, and cycle breaking that's needed, end quote. Basically, everything she's saying is a twisted way of trying to make up new problems so that Anita can fix a problem she created, which means companies would need to hire her again so the cycle can continue. Also, everything she says pretty much confirms that no matter what these companies do, nothing will ever appease the woke brain-rotted activists. If you want my opinion, maybe stop listening to Anita Sarkeesian because it's due to people like her that we're in this massive mess to begin with. Because no matter how much bending over backwards and pandering you do, you will never satisfy these people. Overwatch could make a paraplegic talking rabbit that advocates for socialism, and there would still be people out there that are mad that the rabbit doesn't use certain pronouns. Because once you slide down the slippery slope, there's no stopping the stupidity from drowning you entirely. Also, it's been reported that Harry Potter will be rebooted but won't be made into movies. Instead, the plan, as of now anyway, is to make the entire series into a TV show on HBO Max. This new reboot would also not feature J.K. Rowling in any creative way either. Which is both good for certain people, but also bad because, well, she literally made Harry Potter in the first place. Of course, everyone will point out that Rowling being involved would reawaken the activists to come out of their caves again. The same way they did when Hogwarts Legacy got released and everyone was labeled transphobes for playing it. The mental gymnastics surrounding whether you can enjoy Harry Potter or not will always be a thorn in that franchise's side. But Hogwarts Legacy at the very least proved that even against insurmountable odds you can still succeed and bathe in success. However, it should also be mentioned that whereas Hogwarts Legacy dominated the newsphere when it released for like 2 weeks, this new show would cause a much bigger stir. Why, you ask? Well, imagine Hogwarts Legacy levels of media attention, all the name-calling, yelling about trans rights and debating whether it's morally okay or not. But instead of that discussion lasting maybe 2 weeks in Legacy's case, that level of nonsense would continue for 7 years straight. Remember that this reboot is said to use each book as one season of television. And I may not be good at math, but even I know that 7 books means 7 seasons. Which means you'll have hacktivist writers pulling their hair whether they can enjoy something for 7 years straight because of this. Or maybe they'll just secretly enjoy the show in private like they did with the game, which will never not be funny to me. Also, because this is the modern world, reboots usually mean whatever you loved as a kid is likely going to suck now, and with Harry Potter and friends, it's gonna be no different. There's no way in hell this show doesn't strive for diversity at every push. In all honesty, it's very likely that no character will be safe from being gender or race swapped. Likely Harry Potter will still be a white nerdy kid, and of course Draco Malfoy will be white because he's kinda evil and only white people can be evil apparently. If anything, I hope they switch Voldemort up and make him black. Hell, why not go further and make him a woman too? Who cares? Hermione will 1,000,000% be race swapped. She's prime rib quality levels of race swapping if I've ever seen it. Dumbledore being gay will also be very prevalent, of course, because, well, he's gay. They should also make Hagrid a woman because why not? Who cares? However, the one character I'll be keeping my eyes on more than any other is Ronald Weasley. Because Ron's a ginger and, well... And the stupidity doesn't end there, with DC Comics' newest movie being Blue Beetle, which actually looks pretty fun. Unfortunately, having an enjoyable movie isn't enough, and now the movie is marred in controversy. Susan Sarandon plays the villain of the film, and she describes her character as the white military industrial complex. Susan goes on to say that she's happy the film has a strong Latinx, how do you say it? Latinx representation, I guess? Anyways, that's her words, not mine, since I know many Latinos out there hate when they're referred to that, but that's where we're at right now. Anyway, Susan Sarandon says her character is supposed to be the evil white oppressive force trying to destroy the Mexican superhero, because nothing spells a typical woke story than having a white person as your bad guy. Then there's the director of Blue Beetle, whose name is Angel Manuel Soto, who has also been caught on Twitter tweeting that he wishes Donald Trump would be killed like Lincoln was. Of course, once this tweet was found, he deleted it, but the internet, like syphilis, is forever. Anyway, Soto was also exposed saying that Puerto Rico is a slave colony to the USA and blames Americans for imposing their rule on them. And this is all the more funny because Soto is making a film made in America financed by an American company for profit. So I guess sticking it to the man only matters until the man is lining your pockets with money. Gotta love woke activists. Their morals are about as deep as Madonna's plastic surgery. It's all so funny to me. Anyways, that's just some of the insanity that has happened lately, but I hope my extremely cynical view on the world has been as informative as it was entertaining. These companies, regardless of their industries, simply do not care and will talk out of both sides of their mouths if it helps them. So whether you're playing a pansexual plant-based healer in Overwatch or watching a movie made by a guy who hates everyone that doesn't look like him, or reaping what you sowed, the entertainment industry is truly one big stupid mess. But like a vegan cat, we all know who's really making the decisions, and as long as you understand that a lot of this nonsense is just performative BS, then you should be able to keep your mind clear of the nonsense that is our modern world. But for now, I hope you enjoyed and subscribe for more nonsense in the incoming future. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.